this has serious implications on the Chicago Bulls, as there has been a full focus on Arturas Karnisovas and the Bulls' pursuit of keeping Josh Giddey around long-term, with negotiations getting nowhere, and also prior contracts both within and outside of the Chicago Bulls are playing a huge impact into what the Bulls are going to end up doing and solving this Josh Giddey saga, and we're going to break it all down. Guys, we're going to jump right into this video, but real quick, make sure to subscribe if you're part of that 75% that's not subscribed to Bulls Digest right now. Preseason is coming up, and we are going to have a bunch of content for you guys from the three of us, and you do not want to miss out on all the great videos ahead. But let's jump into it, guys. There's a lot to go over in this Josh Giddey saga, as basically the entire offseason, there has been one major story surrounding the Bulls, and that has been about Josh Giddey. Giddey has been nothing short of one of the best players on the Chicago Bulls after last year, and is proving to be a great trade for the Bulls. Obviously, giving away Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey raised some eyebrows, but after a while, it did prove to be fruitful for both sides, because Caruso is obviously a huge part in the Thunder winning the NBA Finals. Meanwhile, Josh Giddey has been a great player for the Bulls, but now due for a contract extension, there's been a very big difference in where talks are going, with the Bulls and Giddey each sort of arguing that they have more of the momentum, more of the control over things, but right now they are yet to find a contract that works. As we know, we do know that the Bulls and Giddey were in talks of a contract for 4 years, $80 million, which is less than Josh Giddey wants. And we're going to discuss this whole situation with Giddey, and on top of that, sort of go over a few other names as well who play a part in this situation. Now, as Fred Katz of The Athletic mentioned, of the 4 remaining restricted players, Giddey inspired the most consistent contract suggestions. Respondents were most comfortable giving him money. 14 of the 16 participants in an Athletic poll proposed an average annual salary between $20 million and $25 million. That means average annual value in the poll came to $22.3 million a year, which honestly seems like a great contract for the Bulls. One executive pinned him as an $18 million player. Another front office staffer, who admitted he would be far lower than the consensus because he wasn't a fan of Giddey's game, suggested $50 million over 4 years, 12.5 per year, less than the mid-level exception for a player who put up 14.6 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 7.2 assists, who averaged nearly a 20-point triple-double over his final 19 games. I don't think it's going to be hard to find an argument that Josh Giddey deserves a lot more than the mid-level exception. Personally, if I had to value Josh Giddey right now, I don't think $25 million is a bad contract. The problem is, for Josh Giddey, is that no teams have money, so Arturas and the Bulls can really just lowball Josh Giddey, and the only fear is that he does take that qualifying offer, which is a risk for Giddey, considering what if he has a bad season? What if he doesn't play well? What if he gets hurt? A bunch of situations, exterior focuses could happen, or exterior forces, I should say, could happen that would lead to Josh Giddey not being able to get the contract that he does deserve, or believes he deserves the exact money that he wants to get himself. So with all that being in mind, there is going to have to be a very specific situation for the Bulls where they are going to have to identify exactly what they have to do moving forwards in this Giddey situation. Now, Katz continued and discussed the fact that 78 free agents who have signed contracts this offseason, as of this past weekend, only 13 or 3 of them, the Milwaukee Bucks' Myles Turner, the Cleveland Cavaliers' Sam Merrill, and the Atlanta Hawks' Nickeil Alexander-Walker deals, received at least 4 guaranteed seasons. For reference, 13 free agents signed 4 or 5-year contracts last summer. Front offices worry about the cresting above the first or second apron in today's financial environment. Surpassing either payroll threshold can paralyze a team's optionality. Meanwhile, the NBA's recent salary cap projection for 2026-27 only includes a 7% raise instead of the 10% that many around the league expected, and they probably spoke to teams. One executive who participated in the poll said. Now, on top of that, you look at Myles Turner, who is really the biggest shock out of free agency with him signing with the Milwaukee Bucks, a team dealing with a ton of turmoil right now, where Turner said he'd be able to continue contending. Now, Turner put up 15.6 points per game last year, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and has been one of the best shot blockers in basketball for a while. The 10-year Pacers veteran did leave after being the only guy left from 2015 still on the team that drafted him. Now gone, now in Milwaukee, which seems like a very interesting choice. Obviously, the fit with Giannis is there, but there's obviously, is Giannis there, is the question. Now, he shot 49% on corner threes and 39%, really 40% on threes in general last season, also shooting 48% from the field. He's a very unique center who's got a mix of good rim protection, can create his own shot a little bit as well, and also is one of the best three-point shooting big men in the NBA, arguably the second best to Karl Anthony Towns, given a guy like Nikola Jokic is obviously right there as well. But when it comes down to it, what we see from this Chicago Bulls team is trying to navigate where you sign a guy like Giddey, who The raw numbers, obviously there was less success, but that's also the Bulls compared to the Pacers. The raw numbers are better. 14.6 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, 7 assists, getting a steal per game, and also really improving on his shooting 38% from the field and 38% from 3 and 46% from the field. Josh Giddey has been a great player with the Bulls over this last season, and now would be the leader of this team going into next year. So it's about figuring out the ideal price for Giddey. Right now, in regards to the Bulls' payroll, what we see is that they have minus $26 million in cap space effectively, but also no team outside of the Brooklyn Nets had cap space going into this offseason, which is what sort of caused this whole thing. The Nets are the only player who could try to steal away a restricted free agent. There's no real need to try to steal away a restricted free agent right now because no one has money, so the Bulls can't get threatened and basically get screwed by one of those absolute poison pill contracts that teams will hand out just to mess up another team's finances, which is a very nice chess move that I do appreciate, if I'm being honest. But then you look at the contracts situation with the Bulls. They're going to have a lot of money. They are going to have 2 max slots open next summer if they want to try to go big fish hunting. Something considering it's the Chicago Bulls, we know they will. They always do. So when you look at it, Vooch is on the final year of his contract, and he likely will not be around for the long haul. Zach Collins is on the final year of his contract, and he likely won't be around for the long haul. You see Patrick Williams with that massive deal. It's the only contract that's there, and the Bulls would like to trade Patrick Williams just to try to get that contract off their books. Kevin Huerter, Kobe White, both expiring deals. Isaac Okoro, who they just acquired, has one extra year of $11 million on his contract. Jalen Smith was around $10 million next year, and then it's just the rookie deals like Noah Essendye and Buzelis, and also Julian Phillips. So what we're seeing right now is a Bulls team that really does have a good advantage to try to really maximize their cap situation. But obviously, Josh Giddey is not paid yet, and that's the question that we have to go over. What is Josh Giddey's exact worth at? What do other teams think? Well, recently, an anonymous executive said, if you're offering a 4-year contract, you have to be correct. But Giddey, you could offer a 4-year deal. Giddey is the anomaly because he might be good enough to be a 4-year player. Nobody wants to go with long-term contracts because everyone wants this idea of flexibility. You want to have the ability to say, you know what? My team's not very good. Let's pivot and still have cap space. Something the Milwaukee Bucks are absolutely screwed on right now with no assets and really just holding on to Giannis and Myles Turner for dear life while they pay Damian Lillard to play for the Trailblazers again. Now, Fred Katz mentioned that Giddey was a lottery selection. Jalen Suggs, who was picked just before Giddey in that draft, received a 5-year, $150 million extension last summer, leading up to the 2024 trade for Giddey. The Bulls, they turned down draft picks and proposed deals for Alex Caruso before sending him to OKC without any draft capital attached. Since June 2023, Chicago has acquired just one first-round pick, its own pick from this summer's draft, which was used to take Noah Essendye at 12. The highest average annual value suggested for Giddey in the poll is $25 million, but that also was the most common one. 7 participants proposed contracts worth $25 million, in part because the Bulls could accommodate that much. Chicago is nearly $40 million below the luxury tax at the moment, so they have more flexibility than most teams do, even if they don't have cap space, because again, at this point of the offseason, literally all 30 teams are over the cap. They don't have, no team has cap space right now. No team can take on a contract. It's just the way the NBA is at this moment. It will reset. It's a bubble. It'll pop. It always does. But up until then, we sort of have to navigate this situation. And you can look at what Patrick Williams' contract is. Objectively, it's a bad deal. And now the Bulls are starting to pay for it because they don't want to do this again. Arturas does not want to screw this up again the way that the Patrick Williams thing has been a massive misstep. And look, it made some sense at the time. I think a lot of us were like, maybe, don't do that, Arturas, but here we are. We're stuck with it. There's teams that could have interest. I did a video talking about the Phoenix Suns. They could have interest in Patrick Williams, but teams aren't lining up to go land a bad contract in Williams right now unless you're trying to tank. And again, you can't eat money. The only team that had cap space was the Nets, who ate different money throughout the offseason. Then you look at Jalen Suggs. Suggs is on a front-loaded contract, meaning he's getting the majority. His highest average annual value is that first year of the contract that starts next year, where he's getting $35 million, but then it's going to regress down to 26 by his final year. So basically, it's going to leave the Magic with a little more flexibility in the future as they start to build this contender around players like Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, if he can bounce back to the season he was having. He was still good this year, don't get me wrong. Jalen Suggs, now Desmond Bane. So we look at this situation. The Magic did this right, but it is a lot of money for Jalen Suggs. I don't think any of us are going to sit there and be like, boom, that's the contract. That's perfect for Jalen Suggs. That is the exact amount of red money. No, it's a little higher, but you can't lose Jalen Suggs. I think that's where we're at with the Bulls because it feels like you can sort of pull this off the same way where it's going to be a lot for Giddey, but also he's the best player on the team. Like, what else do we want to do here? The man was averaging a 20-point triple-double in the final season, or in the final 20 games of the season. He's someone who we could rely on to be a building block of this team going forwards. And I honestly think if push comes to shove, you can't lose Giddey. You got to end up paying him. That's what has to happen. Guys, what do you want to see them do? Let me know in the comments down below. What's your average annual value for Josh Giddey? Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. I will catch you on the next one. We got a lot of good videos coming out.